The storm came fast. Jace Grayson, a cargo pilot from Earth, didn't even have time to call for help. One moment, he was flying smooth through Sector Theta 9. The next moment, alarms screamed and lightning burst across his view. The clouds turned black, the stars vanished behind thick, swirling energy. Mayday! Mayday! Ship going down. He shouted, his voice echoed in the empty cockpit. No one answered. His ship, Starjumper, had lost power. Something, maybe an EMP wave, had hit the engine. The controls blinked red. Jace slammed buttons, pulled wires, cursed loudly. But nothing worked. The jungle moon below pulled him in like a giant hand. He braced for impact. Then came the crash. Metal screamed. Trees snapped. His ship tore through the forest, hitting the ground in pieces. Jace hit his head. The last thing he saw was fire, and stars falling like rain. He didn't know how long he was out. When he opened his eyes, the world spun. His body ached. Smoke filled the broken cockpit. Blood ran down his arm. The ship was on its side. Half the hull was gone. Sparks flew from a broken panel. He groaned and tried to move. Pain shot through his leg. It might have been broken. Jace dragged himself out of the wreckage. The air was hot and heavy. The jungle around him hissed with strange sounds, chirps, growls, clicks. The plants were glowing in blue and purple shades. It was like stepping into a dream, or a nightmare. He grabbed a flare gun and limped toward the trees. He needed shelter. He needed help. But the moon had other plans. The night came fast. The sky turned black and the sounds grew louder. His flare was useless. The cold wind made his cuts sting. Every shadow looked like a monster. Then he heard it, a soft whisper, like breath on his neck. He spun around. No one was there. Another whisper, closer this time. A light breeze passed by, but it carried something else, warmth. And then hands. Soft but strong. Fingers grabbed his ankle. What the Jace fell. Before he could reach his flare, something pulled him across the jungle floor. Fast, too fast. His body hit roots and stones. A bee yelled. He kicked. But the grip didn't loosen. Then, he saw her golden eyes, glowing like fire. She was crouched in the dark. Humanoid, but not human. Pale violet skin. Long, dark hair. Sharp alien lines across her face and shoulders. Her body shimmered slightly, as if her skin drank the moonlight. She didn't speak. She just stared. And then she dragged him into a cave. Inside the cave, it was warm. Too warm, the walls glowed with soft golden light. Strange markings were drawn on every surface. The air smelled like sweet spice and rain. The alien girl moved fast but gently. She sat him down. She pressed her hand to his leg, his broken one. He winced. She whispered something in a language he didn't know. It was soft, kind. Then she leaned over and wrapped her body around his like a blanket. He stiffened in shock. "What are you doing?" he whispered. She didn't answer. She held him tighter. Her body was hot like a living flame. Jace tried to push her away, but he didn't have the strength. His body, broken and tired, slowly gave in to the warmth. Her heartbeat was strong against his chest. Her breath was calm. He didn't understand anything. Why had she saved him? Why was she touching him like this? Who was she? But in that moment, pain faded. So did fear. The cave hummed softly. It felt alive, and safe. And then everything went dark again. He awoke to silence. The alien girl was sitting nearby, watching him. Her eyes were still glowing. She held a piece of fruit in her hand and gently placed it near his lips. Still no words, but no chains either. Not a prison, Not quite home. Just the beginning? Jace opened his eyes slowly. The warm glow of the cave walls was still there. Soft golden light pulsed like a heartbeat, calm and steady. For a moment, he thought he had dreamed everything, but no. His body still ached. His leg was wrapped in thick, soft leaves. The wound had been cleaned. He could feel the warmth from a small fire nearby and across the fire. She sat, the alien girl, still watching, still silent. Her golden eyes studied him like he was something fragile, or dangerous, or maybe. Hers she moved when she saw him awake. With quiet steps, she brought a carved wooden bowl and sat beside him. The bowl had strange, glowing fruit, purple, orange, soft-looking. She picked one, peeled it with her claws, and held it to his mouth. Jace hesitated, but his stomach growled. He hadn't eaten since the crash. He took a bite. It was sweet and warm like melon, mixed with honey. He ate another. She gave him more. No words were spoken, only eyes. When he finished, she reached out slowly and touched his cheek. Her fingers were soft, cool at first, then warmer as she pressed gently. "Thank you," Jace said, unsure if she understood. She tilted her head, repeated, softly, "Tha." "Ku." Her voice was low, musical. She was trying to learn. Then she placed a hand on her chest. "Vale." "Ra." Jace blinked. "Velra? That's your name." She nodded. He pointed to himself. "Jace, Ja, S." Close enough. He tried to stand, but pain shot through his leg. He gasped and fell back. Velra rushed to him, alarmed. She placed her hands on his leg again, glowing slightly. Jace watched in amazement as the pain faded. The warmth from her palms spread through his skin. Muscles relaxed. Bones tingled like they were. "Healing? What are you?" He whispered. She looked up. Her face was calm, but her eyes, they were full of something deep. Not just care. Not just curiosity. Hunger. Not for food. Not for violence. But for closeness, for connection. Like she hadn't touched someone in years. Like he was the only one left. Later, she showed him around the cave. It wasn't just a cave. It was a living place. The walls had patterns that moved. Symbols glowed when touched. There was a pool of clear water that never dried. Shelves with dried plants and roots. She had lived here for a long time. Jace noticed carvings of figures, like her and others. Maybe not her kind. Some were together, holding hands. Wrapped in each other's arms, the drawings showed a bond. A connection. One alien woman with a man human-like him. A story. Had Valera been waiting for someone? Was he that someone? That night, the wind outside howled through the trees. Inside, the cave was quiet. Valera lay beside him, not speaking, not touching, but her body close, her presence heavy. He felt her watching him again. This time, he looked back. "Why me?" He asked, "Why did you pull me in? You don't even know me." She didn't answer. Instead, she slowly reached out and touched his hand. Her fingers slid between his, soft, careful, like she was asking a question without words. Jace didn't pull away. She leaned closer, rested her head on his shoulder, and breathed in deeply, as if his scent meant something to her. She curled her arms around him again, not like a captor, not like a stranger, but like she had found something she thought she'd never find again. Jace didn't know how to feel. Part of him wanted to escape, to return home, to find a signal, call for help, get off this wild moon. But another part, a quieter part, felt something else, something he hadn't felt in years. Warmth, safety, belonging. Later that night, he dreamed he saw her world burning in flames. He saw Velra screaming, trying to protect others' children, elders, he saw war. Then, silence. She stood alone, in this very cave, drawing on the walls, hoping, waiting for him. He woke up with a jolt. Valra was already awake, holding his hand tightly. Her eyes looked into his, and for the first time, he heard her speak clearly. "You stay." Jay sat up slowly. The pain in his leg was almost gone. He touched the skin. Where the wound had been now, it was smooth, barely a scar left behind. It didn't make sense. Human medicine couldn't work that fast, not even military grade, but Valra could. He turned to look at her. She was near the cave wall, kneeling beside a small pile of roots and herbs. Her long, dark hair fell over her shoulder. She looked peaceful, but also focused, like she had done this 1,000 times before. "Valra," he said softly. She turned. At once, her golden eyes lighting up at the sound of his voice. He pointed to his leg. "You did this?" She walked over and nodded slowly, placing her hand over his once again. Her touch was light, but powerful. Her warmth spread from his fingers to his chest. He wasn't just healing physically. Something deeper was changing. The days passed, quietly inside the cave. They began to understand each other through gestures, through looks, and simple words. "Eat," she would say, handing him fruit. "Safe," she'd whisper at night, curling beside him like a blanket. But something strange started happening. Every time she touched him, his arm, his shoulder, even his face, he felt not only comfort, but a strange pull. His thoughts slowed. His body relaxed too easily. His dreams grew stronger, longer. In each one, she was there, always holding him, always calling him mine. Was it her way of protecting or controlling? He didn't want to admit it, but part of him felt scared. One evening, decided to test things. When Valra went out, briefly perhaps, to gather food or check the forest, Jay stood up fully, his leg held strong. No pain. She had truly healed him. He walked toward the cave entrance. The walls glowed more brightly as he passed. Then, he touched the outer edge of the entrance and the entire cave shifted. The walls hummed. The exit sealed shut, stones sliding down with a loud thud. Lights turned red. The warmth vanished. Cold air swept through like a warning. Jay stepped back in shock. Valra rushed in seconds later, her eyes wide with fear. She ran to him, checking his hands, his legs, his chest. "I'm fine," he said quickly, raising both hands. I was just testing." She grabbed his shirt with both hands. "Stay," she said firmly. Not pleading this time, commanding that night. She didn't just lay beside him. She wrapped around him tightly, her leg over his, her arms around his chest, her head tucked under his chin. Like a creature guarding her treasure, Jay stared at the glowing ceiling of the cave, unsure how to feel. Was she afraid of losing him? Or was she keeping him? In the days that followed, he began to learn more. Valra showed him the heart of the cave-around chamber deep inside, filled with floating stones, softly humming with energy. In the center, there was a large glowing crystal. She placed his hand on it. Images filled his mind again. Her people, the war, the deaths, a ritual, a sacred bond. The crystal showed two figures, one male, one female, standing together, arms intertwined. Their bodies glowed as one. Around them, the jungle grew. The storm ended. Peace returned. When the vision ended, Valra looked into his eyes. "You match," she whispered. J.S. stepped back. "Wait, what match? Me and you. That's what this is about." She nodded slowly. "You fell," she added, "sky sent." His mind raced. Was she saying fate brought him here? That the storm, the crash, the cave, all of it was part of something bigger? He shook his head. "I'm just a cargo pilot," he muttered. "I wasn't sent. I crashed." But deep inside, something whispered different. That night, Jace didn't sleep much. Valra held him again, not as tight as before, but still close. She didn't speak, just breathed softly. He stared at her face, so peaceful, so alien, so beautiful. And yet he felt the bond forming whether he liked it or not. By morning, something had changed. The cave didn't close when he walked near the entrance. The walls didn't hum in warning. Instead, a new path opened. He followed it and found a small garden littered with alien plants. Blue vines, red fruits, glowing leaves. A place that could only be opened by one the cave trusted, and now it trusted him. He looked back. Valra stood at the entrance, watching. She didn't stop him. She just waited. And smiled. He returned to her slowly sat beside her. "Tell me the truth," he said. "Why me?" She leaned in, touched his chest gently. "Because I saw your heart," she whispered. "It's called." The garden was quiet. Blue vines curled around thick trees. Soft, glowing berries hung like stars on the branches. Strange little flowers opened when Jace walked by, like they were sensing him, greeting him, but his eyes weren't on the plants. They were on Valra. She walked beside him, silent but peaceful. Her bare feet made no sound on the soft, mossy ground. Her long, dark hair moved gently with the wind. Her body moved like she belonged here, wild, soft, and powerful. Jace watched her. Hand brushed the petals of a flower. As she touched them, the petals changed color. He didn't ask how. He already knew the answer. This place was alive, and it was part of her. They sat beneath a wide-leaf tree. Jace picked a fruit and took a bite. It was sharp and sweet. Tea offered. One to Valra, but she shook her head with a small smile. Instead, she reached out and gently took his hand. Her touch was warm, familiar now, but this time she guided his hand slowly toward her shoulder. "Touch," she whispered. Jace hesitated. Her skin shimmered faintly under the sunlight. Strange lines, like soft glowing tattoos, ran across her collarbone and down. Her arm? They moved like quiet rivers under her skin. He touched one. The world changed. He wasn't in the garden anymore. He stood in a battlefield, a sky of fire. Screams in the wind. Valra was there, barely older than a child. Her people, tall and proud, with glowing skin like hers, were fighting shadowy enemies. Massive machines tore through the trees. The ground shook with every step. He saw her mother, strong, regal, cut down before her eyes. Valra cried, but didn't run. Instead, she touched the ground. A pulse of light spread. The world twisted. The vision blurred. Jace gasped as he pulled his hand back. He was back in the garden. His chest rose and fell quickly. Valra was still beside him, eyes wide. "Worried? You saw?" she asked. He nodded slowly. What was that?" She looked away. "My past," she said softly. "My pain." Her hand touched his chest. "Now you carry." Jace felt it. A part of her sadness had slipped into him. Not heavy, but real, like a gift or a scar. He reached up and touched her arm again, this time on a mark near her wrist. Another vision, Valra, alone, sitting in this very garden, drawing shapes in the dirt, marking symbols on her skin, symbols of loss, of memories, of hope. Every line told a story. Every mark was a wound that healed only by remembering. He saw her pressing her forehead against the cave walls, begging for someone to come, someone from the sky, a mate, a protector, a heart that would match hers. The vision faded. Jace stared at her in silence. "You were waiting." She nodded. "Long time," she whispered. Cave show me. Someone fall. Someone heart. Like mine. He didn't know what to say. All this time, he thought he had just crashed by accident. But maybe he was meant to fall here. That night, the wind howled again. Inside the cave, Jace didn't sleep immediately. He sat by the glowing fire, watching the flames dance. Velra approached slowly. She knelt in front of him. She reached for his shirt, gently, touched his chest where his heart beat strong. Then she placed her own hand over her heart. Same. She whispered, then, softly. Her glowing hand touched her skin and his. The symbols flowed like soft ink between them, and for the first time, the cave glowed brighter. Jace felt it deep inside. Their memories were blending, not fully, but enough. He saw flashes of her childhood. She saw flashes of his. Loneliness, his time and space, his losses, his silence. She leaned close and whispered, "You are not prisoner." He looked at her. "I know," he whispered back. "I'm something else now." Velra rested her head on his chest, and he let her. The bond wasn't forced anymore. It was growing. By choice, outside, the stars shined down. The jungle slept, but, deep inside the glowing cave, two hearts, one human, one alien, beat slowly. But together, and somewhere in the darkness, something else was waking. The sky cracked open again. Jace had just stepped outside the cave, feeling the breeze against his face when he noticed it. A bright red streak cut through the clouds, fast and sharp, like a blade of fire at first. He thought it was another storm, but this wasn't a storm. It was a ship, not his, not friendly, and it was coming down fast. Inside the cave, Ulra stood, frozen, her golden eyes fixed on the burning trail in the sky. "Trouble?" she whispered. Jace nodded. "You know who it is." She didn't answer, but she didn't have to. The air had changed. The jungle had gone quiet. Even the cave seemed to dim. That night, they didn't sleep. Jace sat by the fire, cleaning the small energy blaster he had salvaged from his wrecked ship. It only had a few shots left. But it was better than nothing. Velra moved quietly, her body tense. She placed sharpened wooden stakes at the cave entrance. She spread a glowing powder around the walls, something she said would make intruders feel dizzy. Jace watched her work. She was graceful, quick, strong. Not just a healer, a warrior. "Who are they?" he asked. Velra paused. Then she drew 3 small figures in the dirt. Each one had sharp teeth, long claws, and cold, empty eyes. "Hunters," she said softly. "Take what not theirs, not care what they break. Scavengers," Jace guessed. She nodded once. "They see light. See you want. Want me? Human, rare. Human, strong." He sighed and rubbed his forehead. "Great. I crash here, get healed, bonded. And now I'm a prize." Velra looked at him. "Serious?" "No." She whispered, "You mine." Jace didn't argue. Not now. There wasn't time. By morning, the jungle shook. Footsteps, heavy, slow, measured. Vael pulled him deep into the cave, past the healing pools and glowing gardens, into a narrow tunnel he had never seen before. "Secret way," she said. "Old path, safe place." They entered a low chamber lit by blue stones. It felt ancient. The air was thick with power. JC looked around. "What is this?" Velra placed her palm on the floor. Symbols lit up beneath her fingers. "This? Home's heart." The walls pulsed, and a shape rose from the center of the room. A stone pedestal with a small orb resting inside. Velra touched the orb. The room shook gently, and then the orb floated up and melted into her chest. Soft light entering her body. Her skin glowed brighter. Her hair lifted like it was caught in wind. She turned to him, eyes blazing. "I protect," she said. Jace stepped forward, holding his small blaster. "No, we protect." The cave's outer entrance shattered voices. Echoed, not words, dot growls, metal, dot boots. JACE. Took cover behind a stone pillar. 3 creatures entered, scaly, tall, armored, weapons in hand. They moved like they owned everything. Velra didn't hide. She stepped into the firelight. They froze. One barked in a strange tongue. Velra said something back in her language, calm, clear, strong. They laughed. Then one aimed a weapon. Jace fired. First, his shot hit one in the leg, sending it crashing to the ground. Velra moved like lightning. She leaped, twisted, kicked the second one across the face, then spun and slammed both hands into the ground. A shockwave burst from her body. The walls glowed. The cave fought with her. The last hunter aimed at her back. Jace tackled him from behind, knocking the weapon free. They rolled across the floor. Claws scraped his arm. He punched hard again and again until the creature stopped moving. Blood on his hands, but Velra was safe, and so was he. When the fight was over, the cave lit up fully, like it was awake. The garden bloomed brighter. The wind stopped, and above them, in the ceiling, a hidden panel opened, showing stars beyond. A ship. Buried inside the cave, not just a home, a vessel. Long asleep, waiting Val. Ra looked at Jace. "You fight with me," she whispered. He nodded, breathing hard. "Always." She stepped closer. Her hand touched his chest again. Their bond burned warmer now, stronger, not just fate, choice. Choice, but above the stars. More lights appeared. Not just one ship. Others, watching, waiting. The galaxy wasn't done with them yet. But now, they weren't alone. They were together. Jace stared at the ceiling. Above them, the stars shimmered through the now open cave hatch. The old ship buried in the mountain had just awakened. Lights pulsed across the walls. The ancient stone panels moved like breathing skin. Symbols glowed, some in Velra script. Some human? He stepped back, heart pounding. How is this possible? Velra didn't speak. She walked forward and placed her hand on the central stone. It lit up under her touch, and a low hum filled the air. Then the cave spoke, not with words, but with energy. Jay felt it in his chest, a deep vibration, like a heartbeat. It was not his. It was the cave's, or maybe. The ship's veil returned to him, her voice calm but urgent. Cave, not just home. Ship, old ship, my people's last. Nodded slowly. You were meant to fly this. No, she said softly. Not alone. Needs two. Bonded. He froze. That's why it never opened before. That's why it waited. This ancient vessel had been waiting for them. Together, the hunters were dead. But they weren't the only ones coming. More ships flickered above, just at the edge of orbit, silent. But watching, scavengers, pirates, maybe worse. The jungle wasn't safe anymore, and now they knew where the light came from. Jace looked at Velra. We have to leave. She nodded. We fly together. They stood before the heart of the ship. Two carved handprints glowed on the panel, one smaller, curved, the other broader. Human-shaped. Jac raised his hand and placed it into the print. Warmth surged through him. The wall behind them shifted open, revealing a large chamber filled with floating consoles, soft chairs, and glowing blue vines that curled like veins through the ship's structure. This wasn't metal. It was living tech, organic, ancient, and ready. Jay sat in the pilot's chair. It adjusted to his body immediately. Velra sat beside him, placing her hand on a small crystal embedded in the console. Their hands touched, their bond pulsed, and the ship roared to life. The mountain trembled above. Trees cracked and slid as the hidden ship rose upward, breaking free from years of Earth. And Root's light exploded from the sides of the mountain as massive wings of glowing stone unfolded. Energy thrummed beneath the surface. Like blood through veins, JAC gripped the controls. They didn't feel like controls. They felt like thought. He looked at Valra. She was glowing, her entire body covered in soft light, her hair flowing upward, eyes full of fire. She smiled at him. He smiled back. They rose into the air. Fast. The jungle became a blur below them. The sky opened, and above, waiting for them. 5 ships, dark, cold, hungry, pirate vessels. One of them sent a signal. A warning. Surrender the ship, Jack laughed. Let's see what this thing can do. Valra pressed her palm to the crystal again. The ship responded instantly. Panels slid open. Cannons appeared, but no buttons. No JOYSTICKS. Only thoughts. Jace closed. His eyes, he imagined flying fast. The ship moved faster than light. He imagined fire. The ship released a bright beam that tore through one of the enemy vessels in seconds. Explosions rocked the sky. The pirates, panicked, too, turned and fled. The other 2 fired back missiles, heat bombs. The ship's skin shifted like armor. Shields formed. Energy danced across the surface. Jace and Valra moved together, mind to mind. Thought to thought, no fear, only focus. They danced through the stars. He had never flown like this. Before, it wasn't just piloting. It was becoming the ship, becoming one. With her, one last pirate ship remained. It charged toward them. Desperate, Valra stood and walked to the front of the deck. She whispered a word Jace didn't understand. The front of the ship opened like a mouth, and then soundless light exploded. From within, the pirate ship vanished, gone, like it was never there. Silence, only the stars. Now, no enemies, just space. Jace leaned back in his seat. Breathless, he turned to Valra. She sat down beside him again. Glowing softer now, her hand reached for his. They didn't speak, they didn't need to. The ship slowed, floating above the jungle moon where it had slept for so long. Valra looked at him. You and I, she whispered, now one. Jace didn't argue. He felt it too. Their bond had awakened. Something powerful, not just in the ship, but in him. The galaxy wouldn't be ready for what they had become. But that didn't matter. They were ready. Together, the stars were calm again. The sky, once filled with fire and smoke, now stretched endlessly above them, silent, wide, and peaceful. The ship floated quietly above the jungle moon, its wings folded back like a bird at rest. Glowing lines still ran through the surface, but softer now, breathing, waiting. Inside the command deck, Jace sat beside Valra. His hand rested on hers. They didn't speak, not yet. There were no more enemies, no more alarms, only the sound of their joined heartbeat echoing through the living ship. Jace leaned forward slowly, looking out through the clear front screen. The cave below, once his prison, once her hiding place, was now just part of the past. I thought I was just a pilot, he said softly. Just some guy hauling cargo across dead systems. Valra turned to him. Her golden eyes shimmered under the soft blue light. Not just, she whispered. You. Chosen, Jace smiled a little. Yeah. Chosen by who? She placed her hand on his chest. By me. The words hit harder than he expected. In the beginning, he had been dragged, confused, even afraid. But now? Now he knew. It wasn't control. It wasn't force. It was survival, hope, and love, though she never said the word. He saw it in every look, every breath, every soft whisper at night when she thought he was asleep. She stood and walked toward the center of the ship's deck, the same place where their bond had awakened the vessel. She turned to face him, her hands slowly pulled away. The necklace she always wore, a small piece of crystal shaped like a flame. She held it out. "For you," she said. Jay stepped forward and took it gently. "What is it?" She touched her own chest. "My heart," she said. Not real one, but close. He felt the crystal warm in his hand. It pulsed like it was alive, like it carried a piece of her. He tied it around his neck without a word. Now he carried her always, VAE, all raw. Stepped closer, her arms wrapped around his body, pulling him tight. Not desperate, not afraid, just hers. She pressed her forehead to his chest and whispered softly, "I waited long. I feared always." Jace wrapped his arms around her too. "I'm here now." They stood like that for a long time. Two hearts, two worlds, now one. Later, explored more of the ship. Room after room revealed old tech healing chambers, food, growing units, living quarters, weapon systems, and a place that looked like a library. Inside, glowing orbs hovered silently, each one filled with memory, history, knowledge. Valra touched one. 1,000 voices whispered through the room. Stories of her people, their rise, their fall. Jace placed his hand on another. A map appeared, stars, planets, forgotten places marked with light. They both looked at it. Home was no longer one moon. Now they had a galaxy. "What now?" Jace asked as they returned to the control chamber. Valra looked at him with a small smile. "Now, we fly." He nodded, but then she said something else, something that made his heart stop. "You stay. Forever." Jace blinked. "You mean with you?" She nodded, double quotes, "Not just fly, not just fight. Stay. With me. Life, bond." His chest tightened. He wasn't a soldier. He wasn't a king. He was just a man. But in her eyes, he was everything, and in his heart, she had become everything too. "I stay," he said at last, and her smile, her real, full, beautiful smile made the stars feel small. They sat side by side as the ship slowly rose again. Higher, past the clouds, past the storms, into the open black sky. Below them, the jungle faded into mist. Above them, the galaxy waited. Jake took her hand again. She didn't speak. She didn't have to. Her fingers curled around his like they belonged there forever, and in that moment the ship pulsed once more. Like it understood. The engines burned quiet fire. The stars opened wide, and the ship that should have stayed buried. The girl who thought she'd die alone, and the man who crashed from the sky. Three became something new. Not just survivors, not just lovers, but bonded by choice, by fate, and by something deeper than both.